Greetings from New York City. My name is Katherine Vaz, and I'm really excited to share with you today my new novel, Above the Salt. It will be coming out on November 7th from Flatiron Books, Macmillan, and I would describe it, and this is a very high bar I set for myself, as sort of a Love in the Time of Cholera meets Cold Mountain. It is for people who love historical fiction, just a good, long, sweeping love story. It involves love triangles, villains, and it also is a very peculiar, little-known immigration story. I write a lot about the Portuguese in America. My father came from the Azores, so that's near and dear to my heart. It's took me 15 years to write this book. It is based on a true story of a group of people on the Portuguese island of Madeira, which is near Africa, who were converted to Presbyterianism in the 19th century. They were violently driven off the island, and they were adopted by Jacksonville and Springfield, Illinois at the time of Lincoln. The character I'm following, John Alves, grew up in jail with his mother, who was condemned to die for heresy. But he re-meets a childhood friend, both of them in Illinois, and they fall in love, and the rest of their lives are spent with the complications of that. Various obstacles. There are villains in the book. There are plot twists. There's a mystery about who breaks them up. There's also a third character, Edward Moore, who's a very decent guy, who's also involved in this triad or love triangle. I think it's more interesting to write about really three decent people trying to figure things out. My research really began at the Library of Congress in the late 1990s, thanks to an invitation from the Hispanic Division. Dr. Ieda Shiqueira Wiarda invited me, and there was a display in the map room about the Portuguese Protestants of Illinois. So she knew I concentrate on the Portuguese in America, so suggested I follow the thread. And there was research about a character named John Alves, who in fact described as an old man going back to the Lincoln household where he courted Mary, and his hand trembling so much when he signed the Lincoln Ledger that he had to have somebody else sign it for him. The people who were helping with my research there went down to the vault, and it was verbatim as he had described it, which was really exciting to find. But he described a blank time of wandering the West. And to me, that's where my novel grew for over 15 years. I believe you have to go to a place. You have to feel it, you have to meet people, you have to come across strange things. And when I was in Illinois, I met Dr. Lawrence Zettler, a botanist who had developed ghost orchid perfume, which makes a cameo in my book. And in fact, last year, he handed me a vial of the finished product when I saw him in London, which was a wonderful kind of full circle to that little adventure. I went to Madeira and I saw the gardens. I learned that there's a whistling language, because it's so precipitous there that you have to, you can't just walk to somebody you can see right across the way. And I went to Vicksburg to honor the spirit of him being in the Union Army and fighting in that horrible siege. And, I went to a haunted house there too, which was a lot of fun. And finally, I think that I did my research in Madeira before there were iPhones, before there were, it was easy to take photos. But I do have a picture of myself in a town called Évora in the mainland of Portugal. And on the wall it says, "Everything is a story." It says it in English for some reason. But to me, that's my attitude about what Portugal has meant to me and to my heart and soul, which is everything for me has been a story there. I will conclude this little video this will be the 10-year anniversary this month of losing my father, who, as I said, came from the Azores. And he made a Valentine for me, which has a poem about the word saudade. If there's a word to describe the feeling of my novel, it's this wonderful Portuguese word that means a kind of longing or yearning for the things missing in your life, or people or places, so strongly that their absence is the biggest presence in your life. It can mean sweet sorrow. It can mean a lot of different things. I'll read it in Portuguese and then translate it for you. A saudade é uma dor, luto. É cortinado roxo que me cobre o coração. Tenho tantas saudades, como folhas tenho trigo. Não as conta ninguém, todas consumo comigo. Generally that means a saudade is an anguish, a struggle. It's a purple curtain that covers the heart. I have so many saudades, as many as wheat has leaves or sheaves. I tell these or confide these in no one. I carry them all within, or I absorb them all within. So I will conclude by saying that the woman doing the audiobook said that she had to stop a few times because she broke down crying. And that's wonderful for a writer to hear, that there are points of crying in the book, but there are also some laughs too. So I hope you enjoy it. I'm so pleased to share it with you, and goodbye for now from New York City.